Ladies and gentlemen, as Kenyans were headed for the last general election, that is 2017 general election, the Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Arap Ruto, had already developed his winning strategy for the 2022 general election. And that strategy was actually based on their 2013 and 2017 winning strategy. For those who follow the politics of this country, the 2013 and 2017 strategy of President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto then was simple. Consolidate the Rift Valley and consolidate the larger Mount Kenya region. And that is what they were calling the tyranny of numbers, and then get a few votes here, there, and there. So William Ruto believed that there are certain regions where President Uhuru Kenyatta performed dismally, but he had a chance of bettering those regions. One of them was the coastal region, and the other was the larger Western Kenya region. So as we were headed for the last election, the Deputy President had believed that he only needed, number one, the support of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the support of the President Uhuru Kenyatta was going to consolidate for him the entire Mount Kenya region. And then he also needed to consolidate the larger Rift Valley, then venture into the coastal region and Western Kenya, and then plus the system of the deep state. The Deputy President was sure of winning in 2020 general election. But after that general election, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga entered into the handshake. And that handshake complicated the politics of this country completely, which means the Deputy President had to go back to the drawing board, because he knew that with President Uhuru Kenyatta supporting Raila Odinga, a lot of things were going to change, and that the president was basically going to complicate his equation in the larger Mount Kenya region. So the Deputy President had to find a way of consolidating the larger Mount Kenya region. He had to find a way of coming up with the new strategies to ensure that he becomes the next president of the Republic of Kenya. So in this video today, I want to share with you William Ruto's winning strategy for 2022 general election. Whether he will be able to succeed is something which we will have to wait. And for those who are watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue. Thank you guys for your continued support. And the only request I make for this particular video is that please kindly click that thumbs up button. You can also drop your comment so that I can read your opinions on this. And the best is basically to share the videos in the forums you are in. That is Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, any other program you can use to share the video. Now let us get back to William Ruto's strategy. William Ruto had developed around 6 strategies, and I'm going to mention only 5, and I want you guys to tell me the 6th one in the comment section. His first strategy after the handshake was to come up with what he was calling the hustler narrative. The hustler narrative was actually coined by Mutai Nguni before the fallout. The idea behind the hustler narrative was simple. Because remember, President Uhuru Kenyatta was exiting the political scene. Then the Deputy President was going to be left with Raila Odinga. So they came up with the hustler versus dynasty narrative. It was very simple strategy. What the Deputy President wanted to achieve with that was to counter what is commonly known as tribal dominance in this country. Tribal dominance simply means that this country, since independence, has actually been ruled by how many tribes? 2 tribes. The Kalenjin, Kikuyu. Kikuyu, Kalenjin. So let me repeat. We had a Kikuyu president who was Mzee Kenyatta. Then we had Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, who was a Kalenjin. Then we had Kibaki, who was a Kikuyu. Then Uhuru Kenyatta, a Kikuyu. And William Ruto now becoming a president was going to mean that we are going to have another Kalenjin. So there was this narrative that enough was enough, that 60 years being ruled by two communities was enough. So to counter that, the Deputy President came up with the idea of the hustler narrative. The hustler narrative was intended to convince Kenyans that William Ruto was beyond tribes, that William Ruto was the representative of the poor. So basically, in this country, the only thing which unites the country is being poor, because being poor means a Luo is poor, a Kalenjin is poor, a Kikuyu is poor. So they wanted to project William Ruto as the representative of the hustler nation, so as to counter that tribal dominance, so that William Ruto was going to be projected as a candidate of the hustler nation, not as a candidate of the tribal, our country is tribal, of the Kalenjin nation. Because you remember, after the fallout, even President Uhuru Kenyatta once reminded Ruto that as much as Ruto wanted to portray them as a dynasty, in fact, the idea of dynasty only came when the president decided not to support the deputy president. And the president reminded the deputy president that as much as you want us to believe that there's dynasties, but I can also tell you that only 2 tribes have ruled this country. And for those who've been following William Ruto's politics of late, he's been insisting that this country has been ruled by 3 families. That is the Kenyatta family, that is the Odinga family, and that is the Moi family. While in real sense, this country has been ruled by the Kenyatta family through Kenyatta and Uhuru, the Moi family who ruled for 24 years representing the Kalenjin nation, Kibaki, whom they deliberately leave out, who also ruled this country for 10 good years, and now Uhuru Kenyatta ruling for another 10 years. If you follow politics, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga became the vice president of the Republic of Kenya for how many years? Is it 2 years or 3? The rest, that was in 1960s. He became vice president for 3 years, Jaramogi. The only time that Jaramogi became a leader again was in 1992. And he died in 94. So basically it means if it's about elective position, Jaramogi was elected in this country only for 5 years. William Ruto has been in politics, for example, since 1992 up to now, and has served as a vice president for 10 good years. Raila Odinga ruled this country as part of prime minister for 5 years under Kibaki Grand Coalition government. So which means even Jaramogi, if you combine the years Jaramogi became the vice president and the one Ruto became the deputy president more powerful, the deputy president is still way ahead of them. But the deputy president wanted to project an image of the representative of the hustler nation. So that was his first strategy. And that strategy has actually won for him. His second strategy was the game of numbers. William Ruto had a very clear strategy at the beginning. The deputy president wanted to consolidate Kikuyus and Kalenjins, the way they voted, and then get a few chunks of votes from Raila Odinga. That was his strategy before the handshake. And after the handshake, the deputy president actually tried to escalate that strategy so that he wanted to consolidate the Kikuyus. In fact, that's why William Ruto would go to Mount Kenya region. In a week, 7 days in a week, he would go there 5 times. Because he feared that Uhuru Kenyatta supporting Raila Odinga was going to complicate the equation. So he went there, and that's why Uhuru Kenyatta has a problem going to the larger Mount Kenya region. The deputy president went ahead of it, created a rapport with the people, appealed to their emotions and hearts, and won their support. So as we speak today, the Kalenjin nation are behind the deputy president. Although the number might have reduced from maybe 96% to maybe 80-something, or even to maybe 70-something, but he's still leading in all fronts. And then he wanted the Kalenjins. He believed that he can consolidate the entire Rift Valley. In the last elections, Raila Odinga won in the Maasai community, in Turkana, and in West Pokot. He also led Uhuru Kenyatta there. So William Ruto believed that in Turkana he can win. He also believed that he can easily kick out Raila Odinga out of Maasai. And he also believed that West Pokot and those other regions will automatically vote for him. So that was his strategy of defeating Raila Odinga. Then he believed that he can go to Western Kenya and also go to the coastal region. And that explains why he had to make that investment, that huge investment on Mudavadi and on Moses Masika Wetangula. So his second strategy was the game of numbers. So far, I believe the deputy president has worked so hard to try and retain the Kikuyu voting bloc, the Kalenjin voting bloc. He's made good progress in Western Kenya, and also at the coastal region. Whether that will lead to him winning, I can't tell. His third strategy was the church. You know, in 2013 and 2017, President Uhuru Kenyatta brought on board the Cambridge Analytica. The Cambridge Analytica went ahead and read the minds of the Kikuyu nation and the Kalenjin nation. And they wanted something which can unite these people. So he convinced the two nations that President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were actually God chosen. So Uhuru and Ruto were projected during that time as God-fearing. Raila Odinga was projected by Cambridge Analytica as a devil. And it worked for them. So it created a fear in the Kikuyu nation. So after this handshake, the deputy president figured out that the best strategy for me is not to use the Cambridge Analytica. Let me go to the church direct. So the deputy president started going to churches, Arambes, everything, giving them, bribing pastors, bishops with the vehicles and the rest. His objective of going to the church was simple. Historically, the church of this country has always been the voice of the voiceless. They've been talking about the issues affecting the common ordinary man, the common man. Be it in terms of corruption, the church would always have a voice when it comes to corruption. When it comes to the constitution, the church of this country has a history of fighting for the freedom of Kenyans. So the deputy president by that time was facing serious challenge as far as corruption allegations were concerned. So the only people who had the opportunity and the platform to talk about corruption were the church. So the church would not talk about corruption in this country because the deputy president went and gave them money and they remained tight-lipped. So the deputy president managed to win church because he wanted that. The church also provided the deputy president with a campaign platform. And it worked for him, if you ask me. The deputy president would go to a church in Meru, organize a political activity there, go along with his troops, sell himself, but then he would say that was church. So there was no way you can tell the DP that he was engaging in early campaigns. He just went there for a church service. Then he was given a chance to speak. It reached a point where even the church themselves were now under pressure to stop pulpits from being used as a political platform. So, so the church provided the DP with that much needed platform. There are regions the deputy president actually managed to go to because of the church. Like in Western Kenya, he identified those indigenous churches. And whenever they would have those huge gatherings, he would go there. Remember the incidents he had with Akorino. The Akorino church in the larger Mount Kenya region is a highly respected church. So what the deputy president did was very simple. He organized several events for the Akorino and would attend. The last one he attempted to attend, the president also purposed to attend. So he didn't go there. The other objective for the church, with the church, was that he wanted the church leaders to endorse him. If you look at the history of this country, we had people like Munge, we had people like Njoka, Timothy Njoya, we had so many, Okolo and the rest. So currently we have other church leaders. But the deputy president needed their endorsement. Some of them endorsed him because they made him appear as if he was the chosen one. Some of them even used their platforms to campaign for Ruto as the only chosen leader by God. At some point, I remember there was a time most church leaders would just release videos from their pulpit explaining how William Ruto is the chosen one, is going to win, is going to, things like those. So that was his third strategy, the church. William Ruto's fourth strategy was the deep state. He still believes in this. And that's why he's always saying that his strategy his votes cannot be stolen. William Ruto was right in the middle of rigging in 2013 and 2017, if rigging ever took place. So the deputy president understands the operations because he was the guy who was handling all this. So he managed to control IBC at some point. I still believe he might be still controlling. The security, the deputy president is banking because, the former president Moi was the president for 24 years. During those years, our politics is tribal. He managed to put many Kalenjins in strategic positions as far as the security of this country is concerned. So the deputy president is currently using those people to help him. So as much as he no longer controls the system, but he believes that he has a strategy of defeating Uhuru and Raila, or even trying to stop them. And lastly, his strategy was the game of money. Why the game of money? William Ruto studied under Moi, and he entered into politics in 1992 during the Youth for KANU. Youth for KANU's politics was actually based on money. Jirongo, based on money. So during that time, the deputy president watched how money influenced politics at that time. So when Moi left and Kibaki became the president, he also worked with Kibaki. He understood how money was used in those elections. When he campaigned with Uhuru Kenyatta, that's when William Ruto realized that money can actually buy even politicians themselves. So William Ruto opened his purse, and his main target were the youths. So the deputy president would just go to public rally, public meetings, and 1 million here, 2.5. You know, that was a psychological warfare that William Ruto is willing to give out his money. So as much as you are accusing William Ruto of being a thief, of having stolen, people started saying that for him, he has stolen. That William Ruto is not the richest man in Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta is, maybe Raila Odinga also. He's not the richest. But at least we can share, we can see his money even if they are stolen. So he won the support of the youth. He also used this money to actually buy support of many leaders. There are several elected leaders in this country who are supporting William Ruto, not because they love him, but because they were persuaded by the amount of money. At some point, you know, Aisha Juma was in ODM. So I know a few people here and there who are the friends. At some point, she was telling a good friend of mine that the reason she was working with Ruto at that time, or why she started working with Ruto, was because after the elections, William Ruto approached him and told him, I want us to work together. You know, Aisha Juma, Ruto approached Aisha Juma even before the handshake. He approached Jicho Pevu even before the handshake. So he told Aisha Juma that, you know, we can work. You don't have to come to my side, but let us just work. Allow me come to your constituency. Just invite me, I come. You don't have to come to my party. So Aisha Juma agreed. So when Aisha Juma agreed, he told Aisha Juma, I want you to identify road A, B, C, 1 or 2, 3 roads which you want to work on. So he identified roads. Ruto was powerful. He would just pick his phone, call whoever was concerned. That was done. So Aisha Juma would only be told, well, look for a contractor. And you know, if a road is, let's say, 80 million, and you have your own contractor, there's a way you can get a kickback of, let's say, 8 million. And these guys were broke after that, after the election. So Aisha Juma found himself in a situation where he could not resist. And that's how he started working with Ruto. Jicho Pevu personally also told me his story why he started working with Ruto. It's because of the petition. He had hoped that after winning the elections in Nyali through independent, ODM party was going to prevail on Joho's brother, Saido, who was the ODM candidate, not to petition. So when Saido petitioned, and you know he was already broke, the guy who came to his rescue was actually William Ruto. And that's how he went there. So William Ruto realized that the money can also be used on leaders. I know people like Osoro. I'm being told some of them are driving V8s, which are bought by Ruto. So Ruto also mastered the art of money and used those money to target new members of parliament who are young. He exposed them to money, how to make money. And these guys started believing in him. Up to now, William Ruto has very many members of parliament who believe in him because of the money he introduced them to. I don't know what you think. Do you think those 5 strategies, the hustler narrative, the game of numbers, the church, the deep state, and the power of money will make William Ruto succeed in 2022? Let me hear your opinion on this. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day. Bye-bye.